We've all seen the headlines, the people have spoken, rich people should pay more tax. Is that really what people think, and is that the best solution for the world at the moment? The right level of tax and who to tax has been debated for many years. In this video, we're not going to talk about what the right amount of tax is, but rather what would happen if those people who make more money are taxed more. Now, there are two parts to this: taxing companies and taxing people. If we begin with taxing companies, of course, the most famous example that we are familiar with at the moment is Amazon, and how Amazon allegedly doesn't pay any taxes at all. Now, if you actually look into the story, you would know that that's not true. Amazon does pay taxes, however, they don't pay the tax that most people would think they should pay for a company of their size and based on their geographical footprint. Amazon does what many companies do, which is reinvest revenues back into the company to come up with new products and to make sure that the company has a long-term and sustainable financial presence. Now, when you invest into parts of the business, into new technology, into new ventures, and you end up losing money, the tax system enables companies like Amazon to bring the losses that they've had in previous years into current financial years, and therefore saving them money on taxes, because you would pay taxes on the profits that you make. But because they invest so much money in the company and some of those ideas don't come off or do not become successful, the losses that they make in those areas are then brought forward into the current financial year and written off against their taxes. Now, this is not actually illegal, this is permitted, and actually it's a way that enables companies to invest into themselves, to invest in new technologies, and therefore providing a better service for their customers. However, this is controversial because people expect companies of the size of Amazon, which are valued in over $1 trillion, should pay taxes regardless of whether or not those investments pay off. Okay, now we have to think about what would the situation be if these companies like Amazon are not able to reinvest in themselves and therefore into new products and making their companies bigger. Well, first of all, the obvious would happen. Without investment into new ideas, the companies are more likely to fall into bankruptcy because they don't have any other way to diversify and therefore securing their future in case anything happens to their primary business. Without reinvestment and without the money to grow, the companies are more likely to let go of some of their employees. And if this happens, of course, the unemployment rate will go up. Now, I'm not saying that companies that invest in themselves and into new technologies never close down departments or subsidiaries of the main company. However, they're more likely to create other areas within the business where some employees can be redeployed and therefore still contributing positively to the community as a whole. So the question that people don't tend to ask themselves is, what's the lesser evil? Do you prefer for Amazon to pay more taxes or employ more people? As you can see, Amazon employs up to 790,000 people globally. Now, this is a huge number of people, and if you took those people's jobs away, you're then risking the livelihood of people all around the world for the sake of taxes, which in my opinion would be collected by the government and might not be deployed directly back to the people who actually work in Amazon. Now we get to the millionaires and billionaires that run these vast empires. Do they pay enough tax? We're led to believe that most of them don't pay tax, and those who do pay tax don't pay quite as much as they should be paying. It might surprise you if I say that all the people who you'll be questioning right now actually pay taxes. It's very important to understand that they pay taxes on their income within the companies and not their wealth. So because they can declare a relatively low income or modest income comparatively to their wealth, they can then pay less tax than you would think that they had to pay because you're looking at the headline number of how much they're worth. So let's take the example of Jeff Bezos of Amazon again, since it seems to be an example that's coming up regularly in this video. His salary is actually really low compared to his actual net worth. Now, it's important to understand that yes, he will be paying taxes on the salary that he earns in Amazon, but he is not paying the tax on his wealth. Now, why do companies allow this to happen? Well, the company can actually pay anyone any salary that that person is willing to agree to. So this is not illegal either. Now, you might ask yourself, why is it that governments don't go after people with this wealth and get them to pay more? Well, the answer is actually pretty straightforward. most governments are trying to create a situation in every country that encourages individuals to work hard and in turn create wealth for themselves, but more importantly, create a better outcome for their communities and the country at large. It's been tested time and time again, and it's been proven that if you tax the wealth to a point that they believe they are being penalized for working hard, they will move their wealth to other places. Okay, who cares if they move their money to another country? They're not paying taxes on it anyway. Well, the reason why you'd want everyone to keep their money in the country is because it's not just on what's being taxed. You also have to consider how much money they're spending in that country. So let's take an example of someone that lives in the United Kingdom. If you earn £100 in the United Kingdom, the government would prefer that you spend that £100 in the United Kingdom. However, if you get that money and you go and spend it abroad, the country that you earned the money in is losing as a result of you moving that money from that country. So governments have to come up with a situation where there is a balance between how much they can tax people and still have a creative and incentive society. A critical point that is normally overlooked is philanthropy. Now, this is when someone with enormous wealth gives back to their community. All right, most people say that doesn't matter and they wouldn't need to do that if you tax them accordingly in the first place. The reason why I disagree with this view is purely because they would then spend their money in the same way that they built their businesses, or in areas that make sense and would create the biggest difference to the community and to the people that they're trying to help. Now, let's put this into a real life scenario. At the moment, you would say if someone's working for a company, they're going to invest that money into an area where the company is most likely to get positive results. Now, let's move that position 10 years forward or 20 years forward, and they're now in a position of giving back to the community. They will then invest that money in the area that they can see that they can make the biggest difference. Now, this is critical because that's not necessarily the same area that governments would necessarily pay attention to, and they would not invest in the same causes that governments would invest in. Now, for some of you that think that governments would be better at deploying capital into the needs of the community, I think you're greatly mistaken. Governments are not any good at deploying capital at a very large scale, and this is one of the reasons why the world is in the position that it is in at the moment. You do need the individuals who can work hard and create opportunities that are not available in the community in order for their communities and their countries to succeed. I know what some of you are going to be saying, that there is a number of people out there with a lot of wealth that would also welcome higher tax payments. Yes, I do know that those people exist, but those people are a minority. In my opinion and in my experience, financial freedom is one of the key things in most people's lives. And like most things in life, if you work hard for it, you want to hold on to it. Now, this is not an opinion only held by the wealthiest in society. Quite a lot of people in the world believe that it's actually okay to cheat on your taxes. So if this is an opinion that is held by quite a few people in society, then why is it wrong when someone who is a lot wealthier than most people does exactly the same thing? Now, I'm not saying it's okay not to pay taxes. However, if you look at it from a pragmatic view, it makes sense. If you allow people to grow their wealth, they are able to create better opportunities for the wider community. Could Amazon pay more tax? Of course they could, but I think it's better that they employ 790,000 people across the world. Should Bill Gates have paid more tax when he was CEO of Microsoft? Of course he should have. However, the amount of money that he has given back into great causes and helping a lot of people in the world that would not have benefited from the tax that he would have paid to the United States is a much better scenario than taxing him at the time that he's earning that money. In conclusion, taxation is a very difficult topic and difficult balance to strike against the different societies around the world. However, anything that is done through government fiat or force does not end up producing the required results for the community. When people say that taxing wealthy people will create more money for the poorest in society, they are absolutely wrong. In reality, by taxing wealthy people and having them shut down their businesses or not invest in more businesses actually ends up impacting the lowest in society. There's an old saying that says, if you want me to do the lion's part, then you have to be prepared to give me the lion's share. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe and I'll be making more videos like this in the future.